Hey everybody, hope you're having a good day so far. My name is Justin and I'm giving an update on Mohnish Pabrai's portfolio as of the end of the third quarter of 2022. This is the time of the year and really time of the quarter where we get to see all these 13F filings from some of our favorite super investors to see what their portfolio looks like as of the end of the last quarter, which is end of September 30th, 2022. Mohnish Pabrai's investment portfolio is called Pabrai Investment Funds. It roughly has about $300 million plus in there right now. And he actually added a new stock to his portfolio. He doesn't do that very often. And this one was a head scratcher, to be honest. When I first saw the stock, I was like, why is he buying into this industry? This does not seem like a type of stock that he would buy. But I've been doing some research on this stock the last couple of days. I'm certainly not, I would say, an expert in this company yet. I got to do a lot more research. But it looks like it's undervalued by about 40 to 50% from what is currently trading at right now, which I'll touch base on this video. So what we're going to do is we're going to go through each one of the stocks that he owns, the changes on those stocks, and then we'll show the newest addition to his portfolio and kind of talk about that stock a bit more, and hopefully you get some value out of this. If you do, smash that thumbs up button. Really helps out the channel a lot. I personally appreciate it. And let's just jump right into this. And let's talk about his first stock. And this is the smallest one in his portfolio. And that one is Seritage Growth Properties, ticker symbol SRG. Very, very small position. I mean, it's like 0.01% of his portfolio. He really sold out most of that back in January. He followed into that stock among a lot of other super investors. It's a REIT. And for whatever reason, he hasn't sold out of everything. Maybe he's just kind of watching the stock to see what it does. But he's pretty much out of that stock right now. Next one up is Nice Holdings Companies. It's about 5.5% of his portfolio. Now, he did sell about 500,000 shares of the past quarter. So it is a smaller position in his portfolio as it is now, interestingly enough. So it looks like that was reported in June 2024. So I'm not sure what it looks like as of the end of the third quarter. So keep in mind that 13F filings are positions that are on the American Stock Exchange, either like the NASDAQ, for example, or the New York Stock Exchange. I'm using Ticker Terminal to pull all the other stocks that are not on 13Fs. This would be one of those. But as of June, he owned about 1.3 million shares of Nice Holdings. Next one up here is Rain Industries. And he actually added to this position about 1.3 million shares. It's about 6% of his portfolio. This one was kind of a head scratcher because I thought he'd been selling some of this in the previous quarter or two. So I was a bit surprised to see that he added so much in the quarter. So he does own about 8 million shares. So maybe he added probably maybe 10% or so to his portfolio. So there was some stuff going on there. Next one up is Racist. No change there. He didn't buy anything. It's about 15% of his portfolio right now. Next one up is Edelweiss Financial. It's about 16% of his portfolio. No change there. Next one up is Suntech Realty, no change there. It's about 17% of his total portfolio. And the biggest one in his portfolio is Micron Technology, ticker symbol MU. There's no change to this one. It's about a third of his portfolio. This one is also interesting to me. It's a stock that I personally own and I am bullish on for the long term, but short term, it's going through a lot. We're entering, my personal belief, we're entering into recession right now. I think 2023 is going to be a rough year for investors and the economy in general. And Micron being a chip maker in the memory chip business, that business is just going to suffer with a lot of the pullback in the market and a lot of these tech companies not going to be doing so well during a recession, and that's going to hurt Micron. And I was wondering if he was going to sell some, and he did not. Some of the super investors that I follow, Lilu, Guy Spear, Mohnish Pabrai, none of them did anything with Micron. In fact, if we look at Micron, if we go to Dataroma, for example, you can actually see that there's a lot of super investors that actually added Micron and added to their positions in the third quarter. So that kind of gives me some kind of glimpse that they do think that still going to do well long term and even possibly in the short term. So I'm keeping an eye on that one because it's one of the bigger positions in my portfolio. Now you'll notice before we get to the new addition in his portfolio, there's one position that's not on here, and I'm pretty sure he owns it, and that is Prosus. It's either Prosus or Tencent because he's done multiple videos over the last 12 months, and he has specifically talked about those two companies. And the reason why this would not show up here is that either way, if you brought into Prosus or Tencent, those are some major companies as far as market cap goes. I think Tencent's worth almost $500 billion. And I think Prosus is worth over $100 billion. For it to actually show up on this, he'd actually have to own more than 5% of the company. So he would have to, even for Prosus, for example, he would have to put, $5 billion, $6 billion into that company to have 5% of that. And he owns about $300 million, or he manages $300 million. So there's no way, even if you put his entire portfolio into Prosus, that even show up on any of the filings. So I do think he owns that one. And other people could comment down below if you still think he owns that. It's either that or Tencent. And the reason he likes Prosus, from what I've seen, is that as far as the net asset value goes, it's a discount to Tencent because they own so many Tencent shares, and they are started to sell those off. So it could benefit the shareholders there. And so now let's talk about the new addition. And this one was really, really confusing to me when I first saw it. And that is Brookfield Asset Management, ticker symbol BA. Now, this is a very small add to his portfolio. You're talking about 2.5%. So that is a very, very small add. So he's not loading up and making like a 10% position right away, which is interesting. But the purchase itself I thought was interesting. So Brookfield Asset Management is another hedge fund company. And it's a company that when I first even looked at the stock, it really didn't make any sense. So let me open up ticker terminal so we can kind of talk kind of what's going on there. All right, so here's ticker terminal. This is Pabrai Funds Investments. That's where I kind of pulled the information from. So let's go take a look at BAM. BAM. Make sure I click on the right one. Here we go. All right. So right now it's at $44, the stock is. And if we look at a 10-year chart right here, you can see 10 years ago it was around $15. Today it's trading at $44. So you're talking about 12% compounded annual growth rate for the stock, which is pretty good. I mean, that's going to be better than the S&P during that same time period. At least it should be. Let's go look at VOO. That should give us a good idea what the S&P 500 has done in the last 10 years. We can compare that real quick. So S&P 500 is 11% compounded annual growth rate over the last 10 years. So a little bit better than the S&P 500. Not a lot more, but 1% can make a big difference over a 10-year period. So, when I first look at valuation for this company, and for example, if we just take a look at, let's see. So when we're looking at hedge funds, what I kind of like to look is like book value. So price to book value, this one right here. This is kind of like a 10-year trend here. So over the last 10 years, the average has been 1.74 for price to book value. And right now it's trading at 1.74. So that's the average. So when I first look at this, I'm like, without doing a big deep dive in the company, obviously, it's like, that doesn't look all that impressive. It looks like you're just buying the average. So it's not like trading at a 1, for example, or trading, say, like at a point, 0.85 or a 0.9, which would be half. So maybe there might be, it might be a double up from what the average is. That's not the case. And so I was like, this just doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Why would he buy this, company? If I go to estimates and we kind of look at what analysts think the company's going to grow over the next, it looks like it only goes out a couple of years. Let's go 2024. So top line growth is going to dip by 16%. Oh, these numbers look weird. I don't know if I even trust these numbers. Maybe we go one year. So over the next year, it's going to go up 5% on the top line. These numbers are really weird. So just looking at these, they're all over the place. I don't know if I trust these too much. So when I look at these, I was like, I don't know. These just look weird. I doesn't seem like there's anything here that tells me that there's some great value. However, I started digging into the company's website and looking through some things, and I came across this. They did an investor presentation in September. It was like September 12th, if I remember correctly. And this thing is 300 pages long. So if you're interested in Brookfield Asset Management, I highly encourage you to go open up this thing and kind of go through it. I'm probably going to have to go through it several times to really grasp everything. It just seems information overload. But there's just a couple of things that I came across. I was like, oh, this is really interesting. Maybe this is why Mohnish actually is buying this company. And here's a couple of slides. So what Brookfield Asset Management is planning to do, from what I read, is they're actually going to break up the company. So they're going to have their asset management group, and then they're going to have their corporation as two separate entities. And I think the corporation's going to be like ticker symbol BN, and then the management asset group is going to be BAM. I think is how they're going to still have that. And what they're saying is when they do this, it's going to create a lot of shareholder value. And what Brookfield Asset Management is saying is they believe that their stock, right now has a discount of $32 to $44. Right now they're saying, the stock is worth around $50 a share. We saw it's trading at $44 as of today. They believe there's a $32 to $44 discount to planned value. And they believe after they do this split, the shares should be trading around $74 to $83. They believe that is what the planned value of that is. And so that's, you're talking what, 40% margin of safety or as far as net asset value goes there. And what their plan is, they plan to have a, 26% compounded annual return over the next several years. So they think from 2022 at $50, this thing should grow to about $155 about 5 years out. So they're saying 157, I guess, to 175 in 2027, which is a 26% compounded annual growth rate. And what I thought that was kind of interesting is that Mohnish Pabrai always talks about, he's looking for stocks that he wants to essentially 2x over a 3-year period. So a 2x over a 3-year period is 26% compounded annual growth rate. So when I saw that, I was like, oh, interesting. So maybe that's why he's going after this after they make that division or that split of the company. That's when he's going to see that value. And so I'll probably be making a separate video of Brookfield Asset Management at some point. After I get through my research, it's probably going to take a couple of weeks because there's a lot there that I need to go through and really understand when they divide this company or split into two entities, what that's going to do, and what are each of the two entities going to be in charge of to really get a better understanding. But it's pretty interesting just looking at the surface here. And I'd be curious for you guys, do you guys own Brookfield Asset Management? Have you already done research on it? Throw it down in the comment section. Help us out. What is so great about this, obviously, on the surface? If this is true, that there is a margin of safety or a discount of about 35 to 40%, and if the company can hit $157 to $175 out, 5 years from now and get that 26% annual return, that is absolutely incredible. And they do pay a small dividend on top of that as well. So, that's his portfolio in a nutshell. So one big addition, Brookfield Asset Management, ticker symbol BAM. He reduced one position in Nice Holdings, increased Rain Industries. No change for Micron at all, which is also interesting. So what do you guys think about his portfolio? Love to hear from you guys down in the comment section. If there's another super investor you want me to do a video on and kind of go through what their portfolio was as of the last quarter, throw it down in the comment section as well. I read every single one of those. Thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you on the other side. Take care and God bless.